So it's time for another story time, and this is a story about a time that we were in Disneyland. Why do all of these encounters have to happen at Disneyland, the happiest place on earth? I will say I've had my fair share of uncomfortable encounters at Disneyland, but I will also say that I still love the place and I'd go back in a heartbeat. So my son has achondroplasia, which is the most common form of dwarfism. And Sebastian, my son, had to be about 2.5 years old at the time. And just for a little bit of context, my son started walking unassisted when he was about 20 months old. And so he was still learning how to walk. And so I remember having him in the stroller the majority of the time that we were in Disneyland. It was just easier to get around and to go from ride to ride. And at this point in time, we were sort of just in between rides and we were kind of just taking a break. I wanted him to have a little bit of a break from being in the stroller. So I took him out of the stroller and I had him walk around for a bit in an area that, wasn't too crowded and where he could, walk kind of freely without getting trampled over. And you guys, these incidents happen so fast. Whenever I've had these kinds of encounters or incidents that I'm about to talk about, they literally last seconds. So I put him down, he's walking around, and I see a man walking with his family. It looked like it was his, wife and 2 young kids. They had to be maybe 7 or 8 years old. So they basically start walking right past us, but then he turns around. So he's walking backwards kind of, and he pulls out his iPhone, pulls it out, and it looks from my perspective that he's about to take a photo. But I have to say it's, allegedly what happened because of course from my angle I cannot see him actually push the camera app. I can't see him push the button to, take a photo. So that's what it looks like to me, but allegedly he takes a photo. It's also not something that's unusual for someone to, take a photo of someone with dwarfism. So he allegedly takes the photo, puts the phone back in his pocket, and runs away. Doesn't just walk away, he runs. So I'm really upset at what just happened, but I internalize it because I don't want my child to see that I'm visibly upset. I don't want people that I'm with to see that I'm upset or to realize that this incident really bothered me. So I'm keeping it all inside, keeping the emotions bottled up, but I'm getting very upset and I'm in my head, thinking about it. So we end up just walking up towards this theater, and it's this open theater. I think they're having some sort of character show. Maybe it was Beauty and the Beast, or I don't know. I can't even remember what it was, but it was a show with Disney characters in it. And while we're there, the whole time I'm thinking, gosh, I wish I had done something different. I wish I had stood up for my child. I wish I had stood in front of him literally to shield him from the man from taking a photo. What else could I have done? And I'm thinking about it the whole time that, the show is going on. And I'm wishing that it went differently. So finally the show ends and the theater starts to empty. And we stay in our seats for a little bit, just waiting for other people to empty out the theater. So then finally, we start to walk away, and then I spot the man who took the photo of my child. And I thought to myself, as I see him, I'm gonna teach him a lesson. I'm gonna teach him what it feels like to have your photo taken by a stranger. So I get closer to him and I stand maybe about 10 feet or so away from him. I pull out my iPhone, just as he did, and I take a photo of him with his 2 boys. And what happens next completely blows my mind. He doesn't even look at me. He could care less that I'm taking his photo. He kind of just glances over at me a little bit, but when he does, his face has no reaction. It's just like, oh, there's a person, oh, whatever. Keeps on walking. It's as if I do not even exist. So then I think to myself, hey, You're supposed to be really upset right now. You're supposed to be offended. You're supposed to be wondering what I'm going to do with this photo. And nothing, of course, because the reality is, after I took the photo, I very soon after deleted it because I thought, what am I going to do with this photo taking up space in my vacation photo files? But what an interesting lesson this was for me. When he took a photo of my child, I felt disempowered by him. When I took a photo of him with his children, I felt like he took my power away from me by not having a reaction. It made me think, and it made me realize that sometimes when you don't give people the negative reaction that they're trying to get out of you, you're taking away their authority. It's like they lose their sense of control over the situation and over you. They want to have control over your emotions, and they don't. And it's funny, I was the one that felt disempowered when he walked right past me and didn't even have a reaction when I was taking his photo. I was trying to show him, this is how it feels. I'm going to teach you a lesson. And he actually taught me a very valuable lesson. I wanted him to feel upset the way I did, but he didn't. And actually, I am upset at myself for feeling upset because I couldn't enjoy the show with my son, with my other family members. I couldn't just sit there and think, I have so much to be grateful for. I'm here in Disneyland. I'm enjoying this character show. And instead, I was thinking about this incident in my head and thinking, what could I have done and what could I have felt? And there was no need for that. There's this really interesting quote by Nelson Mandela that I want to read. As I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead me to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison. This is such a powerful quote. When that man took that photo, allegedly, I wish I had taken a couple deep breaths, seen the incident as not something to be upset or angry about, released the resentment, released the bitterness that came with it, reflected on feelings of gratitude for my son, for my family, and rather than be a prisoner of my thoughts during the character show at the theater, moved on and enjoyed the show. That's what I wish I had done in that moment. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye for now.